have 2% battery. This is so weird. Why am I making a video? I can't do this. So the biggest controversy seems to be, was Leo good or bad in Blood of Olympus? And it's open for interpretation. Have your own opinion. I don't really care as long as you're respectful about it, but I'm just gonna tell you how I feel. I still really like him a lot. And don't try to look down on me for that, because it doesn't mean that I am not good at interpreting literature or character development. Like, no, I just thought that Leo's development was perfectly natural. I think it was surprising because we were all expecting Dark Percy and Dark Annabeth. Instead, we got guilty Percy and terrified Annabeth. URL jokes. They had major separation anxiety. We didn't see a whole lot of anger, at least not that they projected outwards. They were probably feeling it. I just think that we were expecting that anger from Percy and Annabeth. Instead, we really got it from Leo. If I had to choose one of the 7 that was dark in this book, it was Leo. And regardless of whether it was platonic or romantic, I still think it was a good relationship to have, because they are alike in so many ways. They've both been abandoned countless times. They've both been cheated, unbelievably so. And just the fact that they were sort of able to find solace in one another, whether it's romantic or not, I thought was pretty cool. And they do have a dynamic relationship. I thought it was a lot of fun to read. And just, maybe it's just my inner Greek mythology nerd, but you know, seeing Calypso, like this huge mythological figure, come into the stories in such a big way, and just seeing it get to play out like this, and Leo Valdez rescues this eternal goddess, and it's just, maybe, I don't know, I just thought it was really fun, and I thought it was a very fitting storyline for both of them. So yeah, Leo talks about Calypso and Blood of Olympus. Some people had a problem with that, and part of me is like, what did you expect? I mean, the thing is, I never saw any hate on Leo. I mean, I'm sure there was, but it was not a big deal during House of Hades, after House of Hades. No one said, ugh, I hate Leo. But then after Blood of Olympus, everyone's like, oh my God, kill Leo! And it's like, why didn't you think, if you had a problem with Calypso and Leo, then why didn't this come up a year ago? Why is it coming up now? What did you expect, for Leo to forget about Calypso and Blood of Olympus? Of course she was gonna be a major plot point. Here's the deal. Leo did not choose Calypso over his friends. Like Jason says in the first chapters, my loyalties haven't changed, they've just expanded. That's what's going on with Leo. He's not choosing her over anyone. There is zero evidence of that. Zero. So what? He also wants to rescue Calypso. No problem. I think that's sweet. I think it's a great storyline. And that does not mean that he doesn't care about his friends or that he's putting them second. Not at all. I can't find any evidence to support that. I'm sorry. Not really. People are so focused on the times that Leo mentioned Calypso in the book that they don't realize how much else he mentioned. That's not all that Leo's thinking about. Sure, he talks about her a lot, but he talks just as much about the quest and his friends in the 7. I can give you at least 50 quotes of him talking about his 7 friends. And he loves them just as much as Calypso. He never, ever ranks her higher than them. Ever. Of course she's a priority because he's on OGGI. He's on OGG. Oh my God. He was literally on OGG at he was literally on the island. Like, I'm sorry, I can't even, don't bring that up as evidence. Don't even try. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, here's the deal. Finding OGGI was an important storyline in Blood of Olympus. And if you've hated it since House of Hades, then yeah, you're gonna probably have a problem with Blood of Olympus. I personally liked it. Whether it's romantic or not, I think Calypso and Leo were able to round out each other's storylines in a good way. And I think there's a lot more to Leo's storyline than just Calypso, And we did get to see that in Blood of Olympus. I mean, it was really him that was the final straw in defeating Gaia. And when he was doing that, he had at most a hunch that he would be able to find Calypso. Other than that, all his priorities were ending the war, saving his friends. That was it. Words. This is why I blog, not vlog. I didn't see a problem. Leo was dark in this book. He planned his death in extraordinary detail, which is hard. I still tear up when I read his death, you know. I like that we get to decide if they come back or not in time, you know, and I don't know, I think that's really creative. I thought it was very fitting. Okay, even if you hate Calypso and Leo and you're disagreeing with everything I'm saying, I still think the last chapter was incredible. Because it's like, after a lifetime of Leo being cheated, used, and neglected, he is able to take a life for his own. He killed Gaia. He got his revenge. He saved his friends. And now he was able to rescue Calypso, someone that he knows the gods owed. And now they're off to a new beginning, a new start. And Jason and Piper mentioned this in their last chapter too. A new beginning, a fresh start. So regardless of anything I've said, I hope that you all realize that the last chapter was an awesome metaphor for every single one of the characters. The story came full circle in so many ways. Of course, seeing more about Nico and Reina was not to love. And I still think Percy and Annabeth, though they weren't in the spotlight, I do agree that it probably would have been a lot if they were the main characters. Again, they did have a good role. I mean, that separation anxiety was intense. And on all their little side quests, I do think we got to see a lot of Tartarus aftermath and a lot of development individually and with the other members of the Argo too. I'm proud of Leo. His development was dark and BOO. We saw him angry and sad and vengeful, but in the end, he was able to reclaim his past and get a new life of his own. He ended the war. He did. And he ensured that all his friends that he loved so much would get the chance to have the lives that they fought so hard to get. And I think that shows a lot about Leo's character. Yes, he did talk about Calypso in Blood of Olympus, but I don't know why you guys weren't expecting that. As a whole, I am so proud of this book. As a whole, this story has been amazing from start to finish. I mean, meeting this trio, Jason, Piper, and Leo, way back in The Lost Hero, I loved them immediately, and I knew right off the bat that we were going to have the journey of a lifetime with them. And we really did. And then Son of Neptune, we meet Hazel and Frank, these adorable, yet fearsome, Roman, awesome people, and words. They were amazing, and watching them adventure with Percy was incredible. And then Mark and Athena, they all came together. It was so much fun until they fell into hell. But you know, up until then, it was great. We got to see them meet each other for the first time, and you just sensed the beginning of a great quest. And a great quest it was, as proven in House of Hades. That was intense. Like, that was the development book. I loved House of Hades. Loved it. Woo! The Percy and Annabeth scenes were awesome, and I'm glad that we got to sort of finish out their main stage performance with that. It was intense. We got to see them go to places they'd never been before, emotionally and physically, and it was incredible. You know, you were there. You loved it. And all the development, Frank and Hazel, especially in House of Hades, that was also their time to shine. I mean, Frank became Prider. Hazel controlled the mist. She can do anything with that. And of course, Jason, Piper, and Leo, they were awesome as always. They're such a dynamic trio. I love them so much. Blood of Olympus. Oh, girl. All right. A lot went down, and I'm still so happy with it. Oh my god, I loved it. I mean, yeah, there's one or two things that I might not have done, but you know what? That is not my place. Rick Riordan is a very successful author that I admire with all of my being, and I would never, ever try to correct him on anything that he decided to do, and I still think that, sure, a lot of Blood of Olympus is not what we were expecting, but that does not mean that it wasn't bad. Not at all. I like that we got to end it with the same trio that we started after all these years. That was sort of a fun, sentimental, full circle type of feel. Leo got really dark. I still think it was appropriate development. It seemed like the natural progression to me. I know a lot of people don't share that opinion, but you know, whatever. Piper and Jason, wow. Wow, they grew so much together and apart. Seeing how effortless they were with each other after all those years of them having this awkward, I know you, we're new couple. Just seeing them being able to function on such an awesome level. That was great. We did get to see some Percy and Annabeth aftermath. They had major separation anxiety. Like, I think people are overlooking that. Like, Percy made the entire plumbing blow up. That's separation anxiety. I mean, we see Percy has this overwhelming guilt. I think we were expecting anger, but honestly, looking at it now, the more realistic path that for Percy's character was definitely the guilt. And we saw that a lot. With Annabeth, she was absolutely terrified. I'm glad that both her and Percy were able to sort of overcome that fear, and when we leave them, we know that they're going to be okay. And that's good. Nico and Reina, awesome as I expected. You know, I knew they were going to be the ultimate bro TP, and they were. I didn't realize, like, how much we didn't know about them. There was stuff that I expected and stuff that I didn't expect, and all of it was great. And seeing their little quest was undeniably brilliant. And I'm Solange the Trash. You probably noticed. Not guilty. I know, you probably know this, because I never let anyone forget this, but I actually predicted Will Solis and Nico D'Angelo. I predicted it like 4 months ago. And seeing that actually happen, like, I never imagined it would. It was just one of my wild, crazy predictions, and then it happened, and I was like, this is my #1 accomplishment in life. I can die happy now. I win at everything. Oh my god. I think the final battle in the Parthenon was the real culmination of the 7. They were like working as a team. They had that Avengers defensive ring and Leo raining hell down on the Giants, and that was the real scene where the 7 finally culminated their quest and took down the Giants together with their parents. It was pretty great. Gaia was a much more intimate downfall, I guess. I thought it was pretty cool. It was short, but I think what needed to happen happened. I mean, I don't know how it could have been dragged out, so I don't see a problem with it. It was great that the original trio got to end that. I mean, the war was pretty much, the 7 defeated the Giants. That was their deal. But they've still got Gaia out there. And so to see the original trio take her down, I mean, Piper's charm speaking her, Leo is like, he is fire, and he is like destroying her, and then Jason is also up there holding Piper and making this enormous thunderstorm encircling them. Like, they've got this whole thing going up above, and the fact that Hazel and Frank like saluted to them as Jason and Piper were flying up just really broke me, because they know what's gonna happen, and they still let it happen. And I mean, they knew it was for the best of the war, but it was like, shit, man, it was intense. But to see those 3 take Gaia down, I wouldn't have wanted it any other way. Piper, finally, her charm speak is so powerful that she's able to make Gaia just fall asleep. Jason's thunderstorm is so enormous that shrapnel is constantly hitting Gaia, encircling her. There's no escape. It's keeping them all aloft, and this thunderstorm is destroying them. But Leo played the real part. he interpreted the prophecy and he knew what he had to do. He used Plan C, which he promised back in the Lost Hero that he would never do again, and he let the full extent of his fire power break loose. He was literally an inferno. Like, can you imagine Jason and Piper just staring at their best friend, and they can't even see him. He's literally a skeleton on fire. Like, it breaks me, you know? It breaks me after all these years. And, oh man. I thought that Gaia's takedown was a good culmination of that trio. And yeah, it did end up in fire. And they saw their best friend burn to death. Their best friend, after all those years, after all those months of questing, and Festus, I'm glad that Festus came back for it too. That final takedown was like throwback to the Lost Hero, you know, and got me. Really did.